So, I think we can begin. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us here. And I am Sotήρη Σουλιώτη, translator from Norwegian and Danish and Swedish, the three Scandinavian languages. And tonight I am going to present these two wonderful Norwegian writers, Mόνικα Όσπrong and Hane Ørstavik. Mόνιka Osprong is born in Norway, in Kristiansund, in 1969. She studied creative writing and literature theory, and has published 3 or 4 poetry collections. 4. Now, and a novel in 1997. The work of her is characterized by a multitude of themes and experimental forms, typographical elements, and an overlap with other art forms. She lives in Sweden, in Stockholm, and she has received 2 important prizes: the Bokhandlerprisen, the Norwegian Booksellers Prize, and the Swedish Tolkningsprisen, the Translation Prize, because she is also a translator, and apart from her own work, Mόνικα Όσπrong has translated writers like Thomas Bernhard and Rainer Maria Rilke. Hane Ørstavik, born also in 1969, is a Norwegian writer who, not poet, studied French psychology and sociology in the University of Oslo. And in 1993 to 94, she attended the writer's school in a place named Bø in Norway. Well, yeah.
In the middle of nowhere.
She has published 16 or 17 novels.
16.
16 novels, and her works have been translated into 30 languages. She is best known for her novel Kjærlighet in Norwegian, Love, Αγάπη in Greek. In Norway it was published in 1997. In Greece it has been, I guess, in 2020 or something, translated by me. And it's a story about a young boy and his mother, and takes place in a single night in the far north of Norway. Her subjects are human relations, especially family and partner relations. Can you, is it okay? What? Okay, better now? Yes. She has received a lot of prizes: the Dagbladet Prize, the Brauer Prize, this is Norwegian, Scandinavian prizes, and the most prestigious Norwegian prize, the Gyllendal Prize, which was received by many also Norwegian writers like Dag Solstad, Jon Fosse, who got the Nobel Prize, Vigdis Hjorth, Karl Ove Knausgård. I guess some of you know him because of the 6 volumes series, and Per Pettersson, who also has been translated into Greek. But now I will ask some questions, and I hope they will like to answer me. The first question goes to Hane. And Hane, you write mostly about family and personal relations. Is it there you find inspiration? Apart from that, many of your novels seem to be autofiction, close to autobiographical. Is something you do for a special reason?
I think first I just have to say that this is my first time here in Chania and in Greece, and I'm so grateful to be invited and to be with you here tonight. And I find that for whatever reason you have chosen to come, I feel really honored that Mόνικα and me and Sotήρη are here with you tonight. Well, I started to write when I wrote my first novel when I was 23, and it was published when I was 24. And I think that to me, writing has to do with connecting to the inner field of images. And I don't really care if it's I think I write because I need to be in contact with something that is true. I think that writing for me has to do with creating a universe of images where my persons, because I write novels, can move and contact something that is really urgent in their lives in a way that is finally true, or the movement of the novel is towards truth. And I don't really care if what I write is if it's directly taken from my own life or not, because whenever I write, I think it's such a relief because I don't write for myself. I write for the truth, or I write for the novel, or I write for something that is no longer me. So my whole life becomes just material. So I think that in a way I feel really free, and also I guess that's also why I just puts all my personal stuff in there, because of course what I write about is something that is extremely I have to do it to understand something existential in my own life, so that's why I write it. But I don't do it privately. I think that writing is, I think that that's the freedom in writing is that it's going whenever I really feel that I'm writing, it's not me anymore. It's to get into a place where my private I is no longer relevant, and the I of the novel is the I of everyone. And I think that's also the obligation of the writing. That is also why I feel that it's a work that I do for myself, from this place in me that is no longer me. So I do it for myself, but I really hope, and my aspiration is that I do it for everyone. So it's to write something that can be opened and true and freeing for everyone.
So in that sense, you are the world in that sense, more or less.
That's beautifully
when you
said.
Write.
Yeah, well, that's beautifully said, because that's from the Bible. That's from the you are the word. That's what the Johannes.
The word, but the world also. The world. But it's the same. Life, word.
Yeah, you're right.
What about you, Mόνικα? You share the same experience?
Yes, I can really relate to what you said, that you're not yourself in like a private person. It's. I remember when I was a child, when I was reading, I often thought when I read books that it was not a man and not a woman. It was like a kind of androgynous place it was written from. So I also feel that when you said I'm the word or the word, it's also that something you receive somehow from language, so that you, when you go to language, you think things that you will not think if you speak, and it's another place somehow. But your social persona is one persona, and then when you are in the writing, you are someone else somehow. Maybe a more melancholy version often. But so I can really relate to that. So.
Which writers from Norway and from abroad have influence in your work, or which tendencies, if any? Mόνικα, for example.
Well, I can. My first book was. I also want to say, like Hanne, that I'm very happy to be here in Crete, and actually, I wrote part of my very first book here in Crete, more than 20 years ago. I was very influenced by German and Austrian writers when I was young and studied literature, like Thomas Bernhardt and Rainer Maria Rilke and Ingeborg Bachmann, and also, I mean, this canon of the Central European writers. But later on, I think also when I got children, the terms of writing changed drastically, because I had liked very much those sitting by a cafe table and like Pessoa and Bernhardt, and then it was like I started to be interested in another kind of writers, and a lot of women writers actually. And,
a lot of what?
Women writers.
Women, okay.
I mean. Like the Swedish ones, I have translated some of them also. Sara Stridsberg and Linda Boström Knausgård, for instance.
Yes.
And I've always followed your authorship, Hannes. And now I'm very into some American poets that I have translated into Norwegian, like Bernadette Meyer, for instance, that writes about this experience of kind of a aesthetics of interruption, if I can put it that way. It's like when your life is more chaotic, and she includes this in writing somehow. Her intellectual life, her life with the children, her life with her husband, her life with the friends, and so I found that very inspiring. And I also writers that also are artists, like Etula Adnan and Barbara Guest, and I've been very interested in people that work with visual arts and literature. So, yeah.
What about you, Hanne? Which writers or tendencies? Or there are not, or there is something not you get inspire you, or?
Well, you are so few. In a way, it'd be nice to kind of have a colloquy so we could talk together, all of us. Well, yeah, I think that when I grew up, I think the Bible has always been kind of a very kind of basic kind of text that has kind of been under everything. So kind of the Bible and the Bible language. I was also a consultant when the Bible was retranslated also from Greek, your language, the old Greek, into Norwegian again kind of 15 years ago. So the Bible, and then I was really one of the writers that kind of still lingers in the depth of me is Astrid Lindgren, the children's author. I guess you know her from Pippi Longstockings, but she has written so many other beautiful, wonderful texts, and I think maybe one that is kind of really close to me is Mio, min Mio. Mio, my Mio. I don't know how it's translated into Greek, but and then I read Marguerite Duras and William Faulkner. William Faulkner was really very important for me. And then there are two again Swedish writers. You know, I don't know how much you know kind of the Scandinavian, but because Norway and Sweden and Denmark, I can read Swedish and Danish directly without translation. So in Norway, we're kind of like 5 million people, and in Sweden, there are 8. So that makes 5 plus 8 makes 13. And then in Denmark, there are 5 again, 5, 6?
6.
Mm.
6.
So it's like 17, 18 million. So that is a lot more kind of volume than the little Norway with only 5 million people. So I kind of, the writers of Sweden and Denmark have been very important in because when you read without translation, it's like language is like breathing and eating and nourishing. So it's kind of, because when I read in English, I don't feel anything. I understand everything with my head, but it doesn't touch my body. So I find that the kind of the mother tongue to be able to read in your own language is deeply nourishing and important. So I was kind of so there are 2 more Swedish writers that have been extremely important for me, and that is Birgitta Trotzig. I don't know if she's translated to Greece.
Who?
Birgitta Trotzig.
I don't think so.
No, and Per-Olof Enquist.
I think yes.
Yeah.
I think yes.
They are kind of the same generation. They both died around
But I'm not sure.
10 years ago.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Another thing is that I can see, for example, because both in your novel, but also in your poems, Monica. Monica has been also in Greece once before in Tinos Poetry Festival, so I had the chance to translate also her poems in Greek. There is some kind of duality, like a combination of 2 things, like mother, son, wife, husband, father, daughter. Is it accidental or it is something on purpose you do? Monica.
Well, yeah, I guess it's because it's in the core of the existential questions that you have these relations, and I think they fluctuate somehow. It transforms that who is the adult and who is the child. And I've written a book it's difficult to translate it into English, but they have tried like an invented child. In Norwegian it's called et diktet barn. I don't know if it's better to translate it.
In Greek it is το παιδί που έπλασα με το μυαλό μου. I told her.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know, some of the critics, they described it as a book between like a mother and a child, but that was not really the way I thought about it. It could just as well be a story from a marriage. And sometimes you are a child and sometimes you are a grown-up. But it could also be like a parent and a child. And it could also be the relation to writing somehow. So, yeah, I think it's transformative, these relations and the roles. They are not stable somehow. And I also just want to add what you said about reading in Swedish and English. I totally agree with that the body responds to the language that you are kind of using or are implemented in you. So I also feel that I don't really, cannot really understand an American poet before I have translated it somehow. It was only in the translation that you can really get into contact with the poem. So, but about the relations, I'm curious to hear your view on that also.
But to be honest, Sotήρη, I didn't really understand that question.
You don't understand that. No, that means no. I just want to say that for example, you wrote a book about the kärlighet, about a mother and the son.
Yeah.
And now your new book, which is not translated yet into Greek, Ti amo, is about a woman, a wife, and her husband. There is it's a dualities, a pair of two.
Yeah.
Is it something, and I asked Monica, and now you, if it is something you do accidentally or it means something in this dual thing, the combination of two?
Well, I find it such an interesting question because I still don't understand it. Because I know, in a way, I think that, Sotήρη, if there wasn't two, what should it have been? I mean,
some people write about many people, more people together.
Or you just write about yourself.
Okay, yes.
Just joking.
I mean,
just one person. What's actually a question? I don't really understand what you're meaning.
I don't. I also I don't mean something with that, but because I am asking. I had this. It was curious for me.
Yeah.
Because other writers also write about, let's say, they have a bigger gallery of persons.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Interesting.
Thomas Mann, for instance, with the many families.
Of course, in love, kärlighet, there are also some other people around, but mostly it's these two.
I think in love, the Agape that's translated into Greek by Sotήρη, I think what I wanted to do was kind of to put a lot of different kind of pairs, lot of different kind of examples of pair relations, like two in different kind of ways. But what kind of resonates in me with this question is more like kind of the inner dialogue, because I am never only me. I'm always kind of dialoguing with some kind of something inside myself. So kind of, I am talking to myself. So I'm always at least two persons inside my own head. So, and I think we're all like that. But I think it's really interesting, kind of the concept of being kind of having more people. Right now, I'm reading the Italian writer Natalie Ginsburg, and she has this kind of, like in Italy, I guess also in Greece, all this kind of enlarged families and all the big relations. And to be a Norwegian and be confronted with this kind of more kind of openness to kind of more people, it's like stretching the muscle of connection, and I find it really interesting. I'm rereading it again because it's kind of, there is something there that kind of is expanding my social muscle in a way. So it's really nourishing. So that's interesting.
Very nice. My next question is for Monica, but I could ask Hane too as well. But Monica, you are also a translator, as you are a writer, and but since a writer is always mostly a writer, writers when they are translators, they are they often translate other writers which they feel connected to somehow. So if it is like this, then I would like to ask you do you feel connected to Rainer Maria Rilke, which you translated?
Yeah, no, but I think the thing with him was also that he was actually I was mostly interested in his prose, even more than his poems, because he wrote a novel. He just wrote one novel. What is it called in English? The Notebooks of Malte Raulis Brigge, or something like that.
Τα τετράδια του Malte Laurits Brigge.
Yeah.
The Malte Laurits Brigge's notebooks.
Notebooks, yes. And I remember that was kind of a revolutionary book to read, and it's a lot about seeing. How I learned to see, he says. It's like a poet, that this Brigge, and he observes things and around him. And I think that was like a core sentence for me. I learned to see. I wanted to learn to see. And he was also very interested in Auguste Rodin. He was his secretary for a while, and in Cézanne's paintings. So that was my way into Rilke. But I also want to add then that they had wives that were also artists. They are not very well known, but Camille Claudel is quite well known. But Clara Westhoff, later Clara Rilke, was not. She was the one that introduced Rodin for Cézanne, for instance. And so I've been working a lot with also sculptural books, and I've not only been writing like books, but making books with no end to them and that kind of thing. Someone call it artists' books, but that is not a term that I really feel connected to. Maybe it's a writer's book. What would that be? A writer's book. But I think it's that was what brought me to Rilke. So
you never thought, for example, of translating his poetry?
No, I never thought of that. It would be difficult, also very difficult, even more difficult than the prose, I think. But I also, I mean, I like the Duino Elegian and all of his work. But the way that my first meeting with him was the novel.
What about you, Han? Did you translate also, or no, not really?
I have translated a little bit, but I don't like to translate.
I have seen that also to some writers, because some writers translate, some others don't. I don't say if it is good or bad, but some like it, some don't like it.
Oh. I like it sometimes, not always, but I think it's kind of a bathing into your language.
Yes. Well, no. You are both Norwegian writers living abroad. Monica, you live in Sweden. Hanne, you live in Italy. The fact that you live abroad, does it have any impact on your career as writers? Do you feel, do you get the same support by the Norwegian cultural institution like your colleagues who live in Norway? Okay, Hanne, you can ask.
I can jump in first. Goodbye. Yes, I moved to Italy 9 years ago when I met my Italian love. I moved with him to Italy, to Milano. And to be honest, there are a lot of reasons that it's good to be, well, to be honest, I really like to be, nobody. Well, whenever I'm in Oslo, when I go to the supermarket, I kind of have to remind myself that people recognize me, and it's really kind of, I have to kind of always have this kind of, remember that they know who you are. And that is really so embarrassing. When I'm in Italy, I'm nobody. I can do exactly what I want to. And without this feeling of, because in Norway, it's kind of people stop me and they say, thank you for your novels. And that's always very kind of beautiful. But I get kind of reminded of looking at myself from the outside. And I really kind of, I love not to be reminded of the, I like to be left in peace on the inside. So I think that is kind of the thing I like the most about living abroad. And then, of course, all of the other beautiful things about living in Italy and living in a country where people are kind of warm and open and open-hearted. Yes, and that it's not so dark and cold all the time.
What about you, Monica? Is the same impact in Sweden, or?
I also somehow like to live. I think it's a good exile, Stockholm, in a way, to have a little distance to the literary circles also in Norway, but also that it opens up another literature, like the Swedish, that I get closer to that through the Swedish colleagues. And but I also I mean, I have many colleagues and which are also friends in Norway, so I feel like the literary circle that I belong to is in Norway, not in Sweden. So but I think as a writer, you also need a lot of time on your own.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of. It's impossible otherwise to write so much. So, so in a way, it's maybe kind of a loneliness also to exile, even if it's not so far away. It's a neighboring country, in my case. Mm.
Well, Hane, did you want to say something? Or because if you didn't want, I would like to ask you something.
Go for it.
So taking, considering what Monica said about her circle in Sweden, which are not, mostly are not writers and something like that, do you have the same experience in Italy, that or you are among Italian writers or among Italian other things but not writers, or both of them, both of it?
Well, to be honest, no, I don't have any kind of very kind of. To be honest, I have very few friends, so I don't have many social contacts, and whenever I come here and I meet you, my translator, and my wonderful Norwegian colleague, so I feel that kind of we belong to this, but my private life at home, I'm extremely kind of withdrawn, and I don't see a lot of people, and I think that's also why I love to live in Italy, because then I say hello to the barman, I say hello to the portinario, the guy who opens the door, and we talk. I mean, so I in Norway I wouldn't do that, because you don't kind of small talk with people, but in Italy I really feel that I belong kind of without very close contact, but I don't really, in a way, I feel that I just want to, I think that the thing that nourishes me the most is kind of open-heartedness, and it can be anyone. I don't need my friend to be very brainy and studied and artistic, and I just need my friend to be a good friend.
Yes.
Yeah. So I, in a way, I kind of feel that the older I get, the more kind of things. Yeah, it gets simpler and deeper, and that's nice. Yeah.
This is the way it has to be.
Yeah.
You know, the topics of this, one of the big issues of this festival is also human relations, both family and other ones. And you, with your work, you are writing a lot about them. So, do you consider them changed throughout these years or not? And if so, how?
You mean the relations you have in your private life somehow?
In your private life, all the relationship between people in your private life and social life, everything.
Yeah, I guess it changes somehow. I mean, it's a big difference before I had children and after, and also when the children were small, and now they are grown-ups. And it leaves me with much more time, actually, to read and write. But I feel that it's sometimes difficult. I saw that in your book also, Tiamo, that to write about something which has to do with relations when people you are related to are close to you. So I can feel that sometimes it's very difficult to write freely if my children are in the house, or for even my mother or someone that I have a deep connection to. So I think that actually writing is it's also disconnecting yourself from human relations. I mean, not in the writing, because you relate through language then, and in the presence of writing. But I think that is also difficult sometimes, especially with children, because they don't want you to turn into something else. They want you to turn to them. And that is, even if you have a door that is closed behind you, if you know that someone are outside that door and wants you to come out, it could be difficult to. So therefore, actually, it's good, at least for me, to travel. I write sometimes quite a lot when I'm traveling, because then I'm out of all these relations.
I just have to. Monica is staying here for a week after this festival,
Yeah.
so that's kind of.
Yes, I have a desk here.
Oh, but what I also would like to know if you know not only about your life, but about relations in general, because since you write about relations, that means that you are interested not only in them, not only about your life, but also in general. So
Yes.
I wanted to ask if you see some changes in those relations in the society level, or throughout all these years you write, or if it is the same always.
No, it's my turn not to really understand the question. I'm not sure if you mean on a political level.
No,
level?
the social level, about
Social.
the relationships with how people
Relate to me?
To each other.
To each other.
To each other, and
Yeah.
and to you, but also not only to you, to each other.
To each other. No, but I guess it has changed a lot because of the social medias and everything. I'm not on social medias because I don't have the capacity, and I don't think I have the psychology either. I would probably be too obsessed. No, but I think the digitalization of our society has somehow influenced the way we write. I think so. I don't know exactly how, but in some way. Maybe it makes it more fragmented, or the relations. I think the relation between the individual and society has maybe changed during the years that I've been a grown-up, or since my childhood. I pity the young people in a way, but maybe I should see optimistically. We talked about it, that you think that the young people will make a change somehow that we cannot do. I hope so, but I'm afraid that also the young people will be more depressed, and because the way we communicate, the way that the politicians communicate to us, I think a lot of people, young people and old people, can understand also that there is a lot of hypocrisy. It has always been like that, but maybe even more now than we were young. I think so.
What about you, Hannah?
Well, to be honest, I understand that whatever I see is a reflection of what I'm able to see. So kind of, who am I to say anything about the society? And in a way, I feel that I think all my novels, all that I have ever written is about love, because I have felt that has been the most difficult thing for me in my life. This love that's Αγάπη, that Sotήρη has translated into Greek. I wrote it. It's my third novel of 16. It will be 17 in August. I started to write it in 1996 or 95, when my daughter was newborn. And I looked at my newborn baby, and I had this fear. How will I know that she knows that I love her? And to me, 30 years ago, it was like a linguistic kind of a language problem. You know, because you can say I love you, I love you, I love you, but when is it actually true? When is it filled with love? When is it love there? And when is it just empty words? So I think, and I had to write that book because I was so afraid that there was no love. And what do you do if there is no love? And I think that I've been fighting with that question in everything I've written, because I grew up in a way that made me, I couldn't feel my own love. I could kind of pretend to love. I was kind of like a zombie. I could kind of do the acts of love, but I couldn't feel my own heart. But when I wrote, I could feel something when I wrote. So I think, to me, writing has been my connection with love. And I think that's why almost all my novels are about kind of it's like the Holy Grail, how to get there, how to get in touch with it. And that's a long answer to your question, Sotήρη, about the relations. And I think that the two last novels, this Ti amo, that you say is my last, it's not. It's kind of, now it's more novels coming after this one. But I think what has happened for me in my own life is that I'm starting to feel my own love, and that changes my relationship to everything and to everyone, and it changes how I see the world, and it changes how I see other people. So who am I to say how the world is? I mean, now that I have connection to something inside myself that was closed before, now I see love in another way, and it's there, and in a way it's kind of more like kind of I don't really know how to finish this, but it's kind of, I think it's such a holy thing to see, to be able to be, to be invited here, to be able to sit together and to talk about something that is so deeply private and important. And I think that's also why we read. To write is kind of, to write to me is to kind of write something that I can read, because I need to read what I write. So in a way, it's kind of, I'm kind of talking to my own reader. And I think that reading, I guess that's why you're here, because reading is important for you, because I think that reading is the only place in our society where we really have a dialogue with something outside of ourselves that we really let close. Because when you read, you don't defend anymore. You kind of, because you're alone, and I think it's one of the very, very few moments when you let something close and you let something touch you deeply. And that's also why literature is so important and beautiful. Yeah, so that was a long answer. Thank you for listening to me.
Of course, I was happy for your long answer. I'm very grateful. And concerning now the global situation, the wars, the climate conditions,
Yes.
the problem of our time, such as poverty, inequality, and so on, do they have some impact in your writing?
I think in my writing it has a lot of impact. I think we have different approaches, and I think that's also with all writers. I mean, for me, I think Agape, it's also, I mean, it could be also love for someone you don't know, but I agree that maybe it has to start with the love, with the personal love somehow, to be able to love wider somehow. But I agree also with what you said, that it's another level in literature than in, because I mean politics, I'm a very political person, but I try to keep that kind of not out of my writing, but I know that literature is not to tell someone what they shall mean or think about anything. Maybe there is, I think it's reductive to think that this is a political book, or I think that it could be an aspect of a book. But I think also for me, like for you, I think it's these personal things that started off what you focus on in your writing somehow.
And what is your personal thing that started you off?
Yeah, that's
curious.
Curious. No, but I think that Kristiansund, my hometown, was bombed like flat under the World War II, and the mother of my grandmother died in a bombing, and the brother of my grandfather was torpedoed many times during the war, and I've lived with these stories, so they are very personal to me. When my grandmother told me when her mother lost her legs in a bombing, and all the children were in the hospital and they couldn't meet her and they heard her screams. And I think when I moved to Berlin when I was young, and my grandparents didn't like that because of the war. They said, why are you going to Germany? Why do you want to learn German? And I was interested in the German writers. But when I came to Berlin, it was very strong because the history of the war was very heavy there. And then it mixed it up. And I actually read the Bible when I was there. I was there for half a year. And it was a strange place to read the Bible also because of the Jewish history and all the memorials, and then it mixed up with the war. And so I think that it is, the core of it is personal in a way, because I think it's very difficult to speak someone else's cause somehow. You have to have kind of relation to it that is existential to you. So, but my one of the titles is Soldier's Market, for instance, and and circle psalm that I wrote after I traveled in the Middle East. I've traveled in Palestine, in the West Bank, and so for me, love is also, it could be also an extended thing somehow. So I think that is why, and I also think that when you have not experienced war yourself, when you read about it, for instance, in the Bible, there are a lot of soldiers and wars and terrible things happening, at least in the Genesis. But if you are geographically far from it or in time far from it, it is kind of similar, because you are not like personally, you are not there. So even if it's a war 2,000 years ago, or if it's a war in Afghanistan now, not now, but until recently, it's far, but it can also, I think if it was not for this history of my family with war, I would probably not focus on it. I think so. That's the reason why. And that's why I'm so, really, when I hear about all these bombings, because now it's bombings everywhere. I mean, it is something that I relate also to my own children and to my family. And for me, writing is a lot about memory, how we historize and how we remember things also.
It is also true that Norway also had a very similar history in the Second World War, like in Greece, because
Yes.
There has been hunger and bombings and killings, and it was not like, let's say, because some countries had an easier life during the Second World War than others. But Norway and Greece had more or less the same kind of destiny.
Was Greece also occupied by the Germans?
Occupied by Germans. And there was people dying of hunger. Many people were executed, and before there were many people bombed. So there was resistance and so on. So if, for example, this was a story that you didn't experience directly,
No.
but it sits inside you by the family and so on, we can imagine how it is for those people who have experienced these wars and how long it will go through the generations.
Yes, exactly.
What about your writing, Hane? Does it have something? Does all this have some impact on your writing?
The happenings in the world?
Yes.
No.
Not really.
No, not really. I think to me, I cannot. I'm really the least political person in that I can think of. I don't follow the news. I don't read any news. I don't listen to the news. I'm totally closed off. I think that my political mission is the work of love, in a way, and I think that the more I can, I think the world needs love so much. To me, there is so much noise. And all the things that are happening, all these kind of things that are happening, to me there is so much noise. So I think that I've kind of decided that my contribution to be as powerful as I can, with my contribution, I have to focus and allow myself to do what I need to protect kind of my working field. And that is, so I do that. Yes. And I'm kind of just so grateful to kind of, that there is this diversity of all of us, and this diversity of of readers, and that we can meet around this very sacred, quiet place inside where literature touches us in so different ways. So yeah.
So you are political, actually. You are. So I would like I don't know if you want to say something more.
No, but how is we with the time?
Oh, we have time.
You're following.
So
it,
I'm
good.
thinking, if you don't want to say something more, then you can. I can read some of your work in Greek, and then you can read the same piece in Norwegian.
May I just wonder, since we are not so many people, is there anyone here who has something to say? Yes.
Have you read, thank you, have you read any of your books in translations in English, and how much of the psyche of what you want to say or what you did say in your Norwegian written books can be transferred, let's say, in the English translation or in any other language translation that you might know how to read? I mean, how much of what a writer wants to say is actually can be translated, really? I mean, the feelings, especially when you write about love, these are very esoteric things. And how much of it is it possible to be translated? And that goes for both of you.
That's a huge question about translation. I think that is really that's a huge question. I guess also you haven't said why you asked, but I guess we always, when we read something in translation, we wonder, is there something hidden that I don't get access to because it's translated? So is there something? And to be honest, like I said, I understand English, I understand French, I understand German, but I can't feel it. So I can read my translation, which I rather don't, because it's so painful, because I don't feel it anymore. And to feel it is kind of everything. If the feeling is gone, it's kind of, so it's really painful for me. So I kind of have to trust the translator to embody, because I think translation is about embodiment. You have to, the language has to pass through another body, and that's a really big transition. How is that other body ever going? And the other body is never going to feel what I felt when I wrote it. So it has to be different, and it will be different. And also because the language is different. And because languages, there's always, an abyss. It's never kind of, so it is at it. So it's kind of a leap of faith, I think.
Yeah, no, but I agree to what you say. And I can add also, as a experience as a translator myself, that you see often that something that you lose or miss out somewhere in the text, maybe you get it in another place somehow. And I think that's the thing. I have not been translated, like, at least not whole books, but extracts. But I remember also when I read a Danish translation, that, and then I could relate because it's so close, the language, but it was also different. But I think I accept the difference, as you said, somehow, because I think some people think that it should be exactly the same, and they are disappointed if it's not. if Swedish is not Norwegian or something like that. But I think it's a beauty also to the different structures. As you say, you as Greek can take in this, and of course we cannot, especially not Greek. But English, at least we can see if it's if it's wrong, but we cannot feel it that way. So, but I think that there is a universal kind of a balance. You will get something somewhere else if you didn't get the idiom here or the rhyme or whatever, but maybe you'll get it on another place in the book. So.
I think I'm not so positive as Monica. I'm more kind of. I think it's kind of some books, some novels are kind of very close to the heart of the translator, so the translator can really kind of almost write the book again as his or her own. And then there are other novels, texts that are further away. And I think that's also, it's just how it is. I guess you can feel that as a translator too.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. You have to be, if you are translate some writer, you have to be him or her, and you have to be all the persons, all the gallery of persons he or she writes about. So this is translation of literature is about.
Yeah.
Yes, and
To be at least one other person or many different persons.
Yeah.
To find the spirit of the book and the text.
You said you have a question.
Okay, there is a Swedish psychologist. Actually, he passed away a few years ago. He has studied expertise and expert performance. He wrote a book called Peak, and he claims that you need a few thousand hours of working to reach a level of expertise. And considering writers, he claims that you need something like 10 years after writing your first book to read your, let's say, your top book. Do you agree with these findings? Roughly how many years you feel that it took for you to write your best book? Thank you.
I just think it's very, very different from, someone can write their best book as the first or only book, and someone when they are old. So I don't think really this theory of 10 years or no. But I think also it's difficult yourself to know which book is your best, or I don't know if it's so interesting what is best or worst or either. But sometimes with the writers, some people say, oh, this is the main work, and this is and maybe the writer, him or herself, consider another book the most important. So it's, personally, I don't know. I have no idea if it's better or worse in the beginning or now. I don't know.
Me neither. I don't believe in anyone who says it's like that. It's like, oh, no, never. I don't believe in kind of systems. Yeah, I think everything can happen. Yeah. You can write your best book when you're 90. You can. Everything is possible. You can, everything. Yeah. So that's my opinion.
Other questions? Well, if not, maybe we can finish with by reading a small extract of each of these two wonderful writers' work. First in Greek, and then they will read it in Norwegian. I will read it in Greek. So we start with Hanne. From her novel Ti amo, which is Italian, it means I love you. It is not published in Greek yet. It's the first chapter. Σ' αγαπώ. Το λέμε ο ένας τον άλλον συνέχεια. Το λέμε αντί να πούμε κάτι άλλο. Τι άλλο να πούμε? Εσύ. Θα πεθάνω. Εμείς. Μη μ' αφήσεις. Εγώ. Δεν ξέρω τι να κάνω. Πριν. Δεν ξέρω τι θα κάνω χωρίς εσένα. Όταν δεν είσαι πια εδώ. Τώρα. Δεν ξέρω τι να κάνω με αυτές τις μέρες. Όλον αυτό το χρόνο. Που ο θάνατος φαίνεται παντού περισσότερο από όλα τα άλλα. Σ' αγαπώ. Το λες τη νύχτα όταν ξυπνάς από τους πόνους ή ανάμεσα σε δύο όνειρα και μου απλώνεις το χέρι. Εγώ σου το λέω όταν βρίσκω το κρανίο σου, που έχει γίνει μικρό και στρογγυλό στο χέρι μου, τώρα που τα μαλλιά σου σχεδόν έχουν πέσει, όταν σε χαϊδεύω λίγο για να σε κάνω να γυρίσεις, για να πάψεις να ροχαλίζεις. Σ' αγαπώ. Μια φορά άπλωσα το χέρι μου και ένιωσα το δέρμα σου, ακούμπησα την ανάστροφη της παλάμης μου στην πλάτη, ως την κοιλιά, το μπούτι, κάπου εκεί, μέσα στη νύχτα, για να συνδεθώ μαζί σου, για να σε ακουμπήσω, έτσι που ένα τόσο δά κομμάτι μου, χωρίς γλώσσα και μιλιά, και ίσως πολύ πίσω στο χρόνο, νεογέννητο, να νιώσει δέρμα και ζεστασιά και να βουλιάξει, να κατέβει ως το βυθό τη νύχτα, να γυρίσει σπίτι ή να φτάσει εκεί που θέλει. Σ' αγαπώ. Δεν είσαι πια στο σώμα σου. Δεν ξέρω που είσαι. Σε να νουρίζει η μορφήνη. Μπαινοβγαίνει στον ύπνο ή το λίθαργο και δεν μιλάμε για το θάνατο. Απλά μου λες σ' αγαπώ και μου απλώνεις το χέρι από το κρεβάτι που περνάς τις μέρες, ξαπλωμένος, ντυμένος και γράφεις στο κινητό, γράφεις μυθιστόρημα σε μια μικρή οθόνη, 2-3 γραμμές πριν ξανακυλήσεις στον ύπνο. Και εγώ αφήνω το κάσωμα της πόρτας, πάω κοντά σου, σου πιάνω το χέρι, σε κοιτάζω και λέω κι εγώ σ' αγαπώ.
I'll just read a few lines, not the whole part in Norwegian. Jeg elsker deg. Vi sier det til hverandre hele tiden. Vi sier det i stedet for å si noe annet. Hva skulle det andre ha vært? Du, jeg holder på å dø. Vi, ikke gå fra meg. Jeg vet ikke hva jeg skal gjøre før. Jeg vet ikke hva jeg skal gjøre uten deg når du ikke er her mer. Nå. Jeg vet ikke hva jeg skal gjøre med disse dagene, denne tiden, hvor døden er det mest synlige i alle ting. Jeg elsker deg.
And now Monika's, one of Monika's small prose texts, but they could easily be poetic prose. Spoiler. Ξεπήγμα. Ξαφνικά, μια μέρα στέκεστε πρόσωπο με πρόσωπο και κοιτάζεστε στα μάτια. Υπάρχει μια αμοιβαία κατανόηση, ακόμη και μια τρυφερότητα μεταξύ σας, αλλά και κάτι άλλο, κάτι προκλητικό στο βλέμμα σας, μια ξαφνική συνειδητοποίηση και από τις δύο πλευρές ότι κάτι πρόκειται να συμβεί, επειδή εκείνος γίνεται μεγαλύτερος, ψηλότερος, δυνατότερος από σένα και εσύ που όλα αυτά τα χρόνια τον είχες η προστασία σου, υπό τη σκέπη σου, να το πούμε και έτσι, καταλαβαίνεις ότι αυτός όπου να είναι θα έχει ή έχει κιόλας ξεπεράσει αυτό το ρόλο, ό,τι και αν σημαίνει αυτό και για τους δυο σας. Η μεταξύ σας επαφή δεν έχει τελειώσει ακόμα, ευτυχώς, αλλά πλησιάζει ένα όριο, γιατί όχι μόνο εκείνος παραέχει μεγαλώσει για να κρυφτεί κάτω από τις φτερούγες σου, παραβάρινε για να τον κουβαλήσουν τα χέρια σου, παραέγινε γρήγορος για να τον προλάβουν τα πόδια σας, αν έκανε να τρέξει, αλλά ακόμη ετοιμάζεται να μπει στην κατηγορία των μάχημων ανδρών, όπως τους λένε, και ένας φόβος σέρνεται στο μητρικό σου βλέμμα που τον κοιτάζει, δεν τον έχεις σκεφτεί ποτέ πριν, αλλά το καταλαβαίνεις τώρα που στέκεσαι εκεί, πρόσωπο με πρόσωπο, ότι το όριο έχει ξεπεραστεί ή στέκεστε δίπλα του, σε αυτό το όριο, όπως τόσες και τόσες μητέρες και γη πριν από εσάς, αλλά και πατέρες και γη που ξέρουν ότι τώρα το παιδί μου μεγαλώνει πέρα από το φυσικό και νομικό μου έλεγχο και ότι ο κόσμος θα μπορεί να το διεκδικήσει με έναν τρόπο που δεν μπορεί να διεκδικήσει ένα παιδί. Σκηνές τρεμοπαίζουν στο μυαλό μου με νεαρούς άνδρες και αγόρια που χωρίζονται από γυναίκες και παιδιά. Δεν χρειάζεται να είναι πόλεμος. Υπάρχουν και άλλες καταστάσεις ανάγκης. Ποιος θα μπει πρώτος στις Οσίβιες Λέμβους, ποιος θα πρωτομπεί στο λεωφορείο, ποιος θα μείνει πίσω, και νομίζω ότι όλα αυτά είναι που αντικρίζω καθώς στέκομαι μπροστά στο γιο μου, ότι δεν είναι πλέον κάποιος που ξέρω ότι μπορώ πάντα να τον παίρνω μαζί μου, να τον προστατεύω. Ναι, ίσως μάλιστα να ισχύει και το αντίστροφο, ότι θα πρέπει ή τουλάχιστον θα μπορεί να με προστατεύει εκείνος, ότι η ισορροπία δυνάμεων πρόκειται να κάνει μια πλήρη ανατροπή για πάντα.
Plutselig en dag står dere ansikt til ansikt i øyehøyde. Det er en samforstand, til og med en ømhet mellom dere. Men det er også noe annet, noe utfordrende i blikkene. En plutselig innsikt fra begge sider om at noe er i ferd med å skje, for han holder på å bli større, høyere, sterkere enn deg. Og du som i alle år har hatt han under din beskyttelse, så å si under dine vinger, forstår at han snart, eller allerede har vokst ut av denne rollen, på godt og vondt, for dere begge. Dere er ikke helt ferdig med å leve i samkvem, heldigvis, men det nærmer seg en kant. For ikke bare har han vokst seg for stor, til å kunne gjemmes under vingene dine, for tung, til å kunne bæres av armene dine, for rask, til å kunne innhentes av beina dine, om han skulle legge på sprang. Men han er også i ferd med å vokse inn i den kategorien som kalles stridsdyktige menn, og en angst sniker seg inn i morsblikket ditt som ser på han. Det har du aldri tenkt på før. Men det blir tydelig nå når dere står overfor hverandre, øye mot øye, at grensen er passert. Eller dere står ved den, på denne grensen, som så mange mødre og sønner før dere, og fedre og sønner for den saks skyld, som vet at nå vokser barnet mitt ut over min fysiske og juridiske kontroll, og at verden vil kunne kreve ham på en måte den ikke kan kreve et barn. Det flimrer skjener gjennom hodet, der unge menn og gutter blir skilt fra kvinner og barn. Det trenger ikke å være snakk om krig. Det kan også være andre akutte situasjoner. Hvem som får gå i livbåtene først. Hvem som får være med bussen. Hvem som må bli igjen. Og jeg tror det er alt dette som møter meg i blikkhøyde der jeg står overfor sønnen min. At han ikke lenger er noen jeg vet, at jeg alltid kan ta med meg, verne. Ja, kanskje er det til og med slik at det kan bli omvendt. At han skal måtte, eller i hvert fall kunne, verne meg. At styrkeforholdet er på vei til å gjøre en helomvending for alltid.
Thank you very much, Hane Ørstavik and Mόνικα Όσπρονγκ, for this wonderful evening. And thank you very much, all of you, that you came.
Thank you, Sotήρη.
Yeah, thank you.